Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the Future of Fit, Building Winning Teams with AI plus Human Intuition webinar. This is LeoBrain's second webinar, and we are extremely delighted we are extremely delighted to have you with us today. And as promised in the mails that we sent you, there is something, a surprise awaiting you at the end. So make sure you try to stick till the end. I'm Ria Gandhi. I serve as the content head at Coretus Technologies, which is the parent company who created the AI ATS LeoBrain. My role over the past year has evolved from being a writer, writing for the website, to managing and heading the marketing strategy here, including brand reach, visibility. And over the past few months, working in the recruitment space has basically allowed me to observe from both a strategic and operational standpoint, understanding how recruitment has evolved over the relatively short span of time. Now, before we move ahead with the discussion, I would like to invite my co-speaker today, Shaili Gandhi, who serves as a delivery head at Coretus Technologies. And she's also my elder sister. So, Shaili, please, people would love to know about your background, and your expertise.
Well, thank you, Ria, for the introduction, and very good evening, everyone. My name is Shelly Gandhi, and I'm working as a delivery head at Coretus Technologies. As Ria mentioned, that she is more focused in the strategic landscape. My role is to basically execute the entire product lifecycle, that is starting from its initial product discovery till its deployment phase.
Okay, so thank you so much, Shaili. And I would just like to add that we have been working together in this shared space every day, especially in the recruitment space, dealing with the hiring leaders, with the talent acquisition professionals, and executive decision makers on a day-to-day basis. And something that we have often talked about almost daily is the emergence and the adoption of AI, right? I mean, we all know that AI has sort of percolated every industry today. So its impact, its adoption, its emergence, basically in HR is sort of like inevitable, right?
Yes, definitely. AI has been rapidly growing in these industries. I would say that AI has become the core part of the industry's infrastructure. Let's consider that the recent development of Anthropic's Claude Cowork, which is considered to be an agentic tool which helps in automating the daily tasks like scheduling meetings, also if you can send personalized messages or drafting emails. So all these things are done by Claude Cowork. And another tool of Anthropic, that is Anthropic Interviewer tool, which automates the interviews and provides you the summarized interview, I mean, the entire summary of the interview at a very large scale. So we can depict that AI is no longer an experimentation tool. It's no longer a part of experimentation. It has become the core part, we can say, an inevitable part of the industries. Yes.
So, but then you talk about the efficiency of it, we talk about the speed of it, right? Especially when you talk about AI, it is known for its efficiency, it's known for its speed, especially in HR and recruitment. But then you also have the other end of the
Sorry,
spectrum.
I think you're muted.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, yeah. So basically, I was saying that when we are talking about AI, especially how it is impactful in terms of its efficiency, it's impactful in terms of its speed. And when you talk about it, you have the other side of the spectrum as well. We know about AI, its efficiency, its speed, but what's the other side of the spectrum wherein you have recruiters who complain about hiring being extremely fractured, who complain about hiring being extremely transactional despite of AI being there. Now, I don't know if most of the recruiters today know about the viral comment, right? That remove 90% of HR and things will work well. Now, where did this comment come from? what was the need or what was the origin and what was the source of this comment? What problems were it basically talking about? So I think this entire webinar is structured and it came from this particular tension wherein we find AI, the usage of AI, the benefits, the potentiality of AI, its speed, efficiency. But yet, what we find over here is that trust, emotional resonance, all of these things, we are still lacking behind that, right? What we find is that this growing imbalance between speed and imbalance, or speed and sensitivity. And as a result of that, I think this sort of sets the context for the entire webinar.
Yes, Riya, I definitely agree to this point that AI has, and I mean, the AI can say the hiring systems have become much more fragmented, and sort of they are moving towards the segmentation. Like, you take an example wherein one individual will be focusing on screening the resumes or also assigning the assessments or managing the pre-boarding processes, and other one would be solely handling the I mean, conducting the interviews and also processing the sign-off activities and approvals. So, yes, before we deep dive into all these things, I would love to pose a quick question for everyone present in this webinar that when you think about great hire, okay, what matters you the most? Is it skills? Is it teamwork or is it the attitude?
I think it's one of it's a very reflective question, Shelley, because if you think about it, all of these are the team's skills, work, attitude. These are really great, important factors. So I would really encourage people here attending to maybe, talk about it, engage with it. Feel free to unmute yourself or maybe type your response in the chat box. Okay. But he's saying it's the skills which are the important factor. Okay,
I think teamwork is the most important thing.
right. So teamwork and
From my
really,
point of view, it's attitude. Sorry to cut off. It's attitude because without the right attitude, doesn't matter you have a good skills or you are a good teamwork player,
true.
you won't fit the culture. So you should always have the right attitude, which is like a positive or can-do attitude or learning attitude.
That's a very, I think, a very comprehensive and a very insightful response. Because when you think about it, skills, competency, they can be taught. But when you talk about attitude, it's more integral, right? It's more internal. And I think you've hit the nail on the right head. Because when you talk about attitude, it's something that it's very integral. And then we have Mitul who says that attitude is more important. Yes. So I think this sets the tone for the webinar, right? Because when you talk about attitude, when you talk about even teamwork for that sense, all of these are soft skills. How do you measure that? How do you measure that with the help of AI, or how do you measure that, right? All of these skills, especially when you talk about attitude, you have to understand a person's attitude or a person's, especially a candidate's attitude when the recruiters they give more time to in while assessing those candidates, right? They when they maintain very close relationships with them. And all of that requires strategic, empathetic processes. And definitely it causes a lot of cognitive and mental efforts from their end as well. But then when we talk about all of these things, how is that strategy or how are those empathetic relationships maintained when 90% of their time is consumed and invested in administrative workload, which sort of brings me to the first challenge through which we can begin our webinar, especially when it comes to HR and recruitment. They are drowning or they are drowned sort of in the administrative workload, the constant scheduling back and forth, at the same time, which sort of takes their attention away from building those strong relationships with the candidates. So what happens at the end of the day? You have rushed conversations, you have miscommunication or ambiguous communications, and so on and so forth. So the entire hiring process, which was meant to know the candidate as a human better, becomes extremely dehumanized. It becomes very transactional, where people are treated as data points. And the situation is even worsened with increased volume of applications. And then we go down the rabbit hole of ghosting, and again, a lot of back and forth, which also impacts the candidate experience and the employer branding. Not to also mention that in this process, we are talking about humans. So there is the conscious bias as well as the unconscious bias, right?
Yes. Also, I would like to add to this that the study of in like the 2021 study of the Swiss University depicts that the biased hiring by the recruiters has been increased by 20%. It's like just before their lunchtime and nearing the end of their workday, right? So the factors like we can say fatigue, tiredness may have contributed to this biased hiring decisions. So when we analyze, I mean, when we take a look at these recruiters who tend to evaluate the candidate profiles after their extended schedules, there is a tendency of mechanical filtering, I would say, instead of intentional hiring. And yes, also I wanted to like answer the question that I had posed for that which skills or what would matter the most to you when we think about great hire. Why can we like include all the three? I mean the skills, teamwork, and attitude. All of three are important because when we analyze certain individuals who are technically competent enough, who have also outgrown their performance, okay, and outgrown their team's performance also, I feel that the main decision would lie on how are they capable enough to communicate, also how are their ability to deal in a collaborative environment, and also their ability to deal when put under pressure. So I feel all these factors contribute a lot. What are your thoughts, Ria, about it?
I think you're also right, because when you talk about all the three factors, the skills, the teamwork, and the attitude, they matter a lot. But I would just like to go back to this example that you mentioned, or the statistic that you mentioned of 20% increase in the hiring bias just before the lunchtime and at the end of the workday. I think it's a very interesting statistic if you think about it, because it actually reinforces the idea of inconsistency, right? Because when you talk about human behavior, as humans, it is impossible that we have the same cognitive levels while we are going through the first resume, and we have the same kind of level at the last resume, right? There is a lot of cognitive and the mental workload that we have to go through on a daily basis. So I think there's that inconsistency. At the same time, adding to the conscious as well as the unconscious bias, we have this whole collection of isms. You have ageism, you have racism, you have nepotism. All of these things also affect consciously and unconsciously the hiring processes. So, having said that, I think with the advent of AI, with the emergence and the adoption of AI, all of these things have gradually, sort of like stepped away in terms of the consistency. You find a lot of consistency, we find a lot of efficiency, we find a lot of speed at the same time, right? Especially when you talk about the benefits of AI in recruitment.
Yes, I definitely agree with you, Ria, that AI has been rapidly growing even with this recruitment segment. Like we can say that AI has become a sole part of the all the recruitment processes, be it job posting, be it managing the pre-boarding process, even resume passing, which I can say that it is the lowest hanging fruit currently. Okay, interview evaluation also. So in all, we can say that AI has been explored in all the areas of this recruitment processes, and it's still being explored to further enhance the entire structure. We could also like talk about the case studies. now that the current companies who have this emerging impact of AI. Let's take an example like Unilever. Unilever's employment of the AI has saved approximately 1 lakh hours of their interviewing time. I mean, it's really phenomenal. I mean, they have ultimately saved around $1 million of their cost. Uh, Taking example of IBM, IBM's HR team has approximately saved like 12,000 hours in 18 months. And even considering the paradox Altice USA, which has reportedly like achieved a 50% reduction in scheduling time. So you can say that AI has impacted in a very positive manner when considering these huge companies who have incorporated. I feel they have incorporated AI in their core infrastructure, in their core structure, and considering the recruitment system, it is rapidly evolving.
But then, especially, I would like to add one more idea, or like maybe like the other side of it, because when you think about AI as a tool being incorporated and being adopted by the organizations or by the company, and something I think we missed in the earlier segment of the webinar itself, because when you think about it, there is, with the increasing adoption of AI in the workflows, there is this rising concern of, especially amongst the HR community and the recruiting community, thinking that they are going to lose their job, that AI is going to soon replace them. And I think somewhere or the other, their worries are also justified because there are some of the companies today, there are some of the organizations today who think about or who have already laid off the TA specialists or maybe the recruiters or the entry level hiring managers, right? And I think it is again open to debate over here because when you think about it, AI as a replacement of the human resource or of human resource professionals becomes a question of debate because personally I feel these are one of the only resources capable of emotional intelligence, so
Yes, you're right at this point because when you think about laying off, right, the TA specialist, I mean, we actually rely we that means that we are relying on AI completely, and the data it provides, we are using that data, particular data, to make the final decisions. So I mean, there is nothing wrong in it doing it, but specifically talking about this recruitment process and this recruitment arena, I would say that when we consider it on a more cognitive level, okay, one might question that if we let the AI influence the humans we choose, right? The more we have, that means we have outsourced our capabilities to AI to anticipate, to like let AI make the decisions instead of that person should make that decision, right? And also, I would say that AI has been providing consistent data-driven insights, and which is consistently filtering out the noise and bias. At the same time, the human touch has also provided that essential, we can say, double check that we need, and the ethical oversight, which is also very important. So I think the best way to exemplify this, we can talk about the Google's five dynamics of the team, the five dynamics of effective teamwork we can talk about, right? So according to Google, I mean, while hiring and also while building the teams, it is very much important to consider these five factors, which are psychological safety, structure and clarity, meaning, impact, and dependability. Now, if you take a look at all these, you say we say that all these are soft skills. Okay, all these are soft skills, and but the main question lies here: how do you measure these soft skills with AI? Now, this takes us back to the very first question that we had posed at the start of the webinar. It means that it will, I mean, I would say that AI will provide us, AI has been providing us with the data. It will help us with the scores and the rankings and everything. But when it comes to assessing certain psychological, we can say psychological safety or clarity or meaning we want to get from the organization, we would say that TAs, I mean, the talent acquisition specialists, the HRs, would come into the picture. Okay, they are the ones who have to make these decisions. AI will provide us with the data there, but there has to be someone at this side of the table to actually interpret, to actually contextualize all these things. And I would say that uh, we cannot opt for the one size fits for all the approach here.
So I think what you are trying to focus upon here is that when it comes to human decisions, when it comes to making judgments, I think it depends on the recruiters, it depends on the hiring professionals as well as to how we sort of create that boundary, as to how we sort of decide as to what kind of automation, to how much, to what level, or to which level are we going to automate the processes, right? So I think that human oversight, setting the boundaries, becomes extremely important part over here. At the same time, you mentioned something about data, right? How data becomes extremely important over here. We find, especially when you talk about an AI ATS tool, they would provide you with a lot of data, with objective data, right? With the candidate scoring, the rankings, and stuff like that. But what you are proposing is a shift from a data-driven mindset to a more data-informed model, right? So something that sort of takes into consideration a human in the loop approach. I think we have been acquainted with this term. We have been reading on this term for quite a long time, especially the moment that AI came into the picture, right? Having that synergy or having that human in the loop approach, wherein you find oversight, the human oversight is maintained throughout the process, right? From the beginning till the end. And I think someone who is coming from a literature background, I would like to sort of focus on and say that this is wherein AI becomes a genre and humans are leading the narrative, right? Because when you talk about it, AI is the inevitability. AI, especially in the future, we might consider also the possibility of it being fully automated. But then, as humans, as HR professionals, we need to also focus on building those strategic relationships, building that empathetic, those relationships wherein we can understand the candidate better. We can make the process more human, which is what basically the entire webinar is all about. So I think when we talk about the role of AI, it helps us with the consistency, it helps us with the efficiency, with the speed. We rely on handling the repetitive task, resume parsing, shortlisting, talking about crafting JD, follow-ups, structured, automated follow-ups. All of these things help us a lot, especially when you're talking about bulk hiring. And then when it comes to the role of humans, we definitely have the context, as I think you rightly mentioned over here. The humans, we provide the contextual logic to it. We help contextualize the data, help evaluate the data, and interpret the data, right?
And yes, I feel that the role of humans, that is their emotional quotient, their emotional intelligence, also is to be considered. It is also a very much important factor here. If we consider the humans, like we can say that humans can bring what AI cannot. Okay, AI cannot replicate fully like humans. They cannot handle with the context and the emotional intelligence. Hiring, so I say that hiring shouldn't be just about the resume score or resume matching. It is beyond motivation and intent. It is all about communication style and collaboration, and also how we handle the ambiguity, the challenges that we incur, and yeah, definitely involving the team dynamics and leadership potentials that we have. So adding to this, I just wanted to want to say that I had read an article of psychology today, wherein I came across a very beautiful, a very interesting line, which says that AI is only as good as the prompts we give it, and those prompts are only as good as the human who writes them. So yes, and also we can cover this less is more point, wherein the recruiters will stack up with more and more AI tools, and yeah, and ultimately they get messed up. But what if they would say that what if I would say if these recruiters stick to only one particular tool, based on our hiring objects, instead of mindlessly experimenting the different tools.
So, sorry, I would just like to go back to the statement that you provided that AI is only as good as the prompts we give it, and the prompts are only as good as the humans who write them. I mean, it can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. But I think what we are focusing more upon here, especially when you talk about AI in HR and the usage of AI in HR, is mostly how we need to strike that balance between the two, right? Because when you cannot completely, I think the possibility or the situation or the scenario wherein the TAs or the recruiters, they are completely sort of like laid off, I think that adds a lot of like concern, fear, anxiety. But I think once we understand this idea of the human in the loop approach, once we understand that we need someone on this side of the table, right, as you rightly pointed out. So both are at its right place. And also the second point that you talked about, because once the recruiters have, let's say they have adopted AI, they have integrated AI into their workflows, but a lot of times it so happens, and especially we see this trend post-COVID, wherein they want to adapt, they want to adopt, they want to experiment with a lot of AI tools in hiring at the same time. And as you rightly pointed out, it sort of makes the hiring processes, hiring workflows extremely messy, right? So sometimes they might have several different AI tools to create and streamline the entire hiring process. And then they have another tool to manage all these AI tools. So I think what we are focusing more upon here and what we are advocating at this point is a less is more ideology, as you pointed out. Because when you think about less is more, instead of focusing on the quantity, right, and instead of focusing more on the mindless experimentation that we see, I think the focus has to be shifted more on the fit of the tool, right? The fit on that particular AI tool, asking questions and auditing the situation, the growth size of the company, and finding out the hiring objectives, the hiring goals of the company at this point. So asking that, does this AI tool fit or align with our hiring objectives? Do we want to just parse resumes, or do we want to sort of like streamline the entire hiring process? So I think this is one of the major and one of the common challenges also that a lot of recruiting organizations and a lot of agencies also faced initially while they were adopting AI, right? And another important thing that I found out through while we were conducting the research, and especially when we talk about the future of talent acquisition, when we are talking about AI, when we are talking about the integration and the adoption of AI in these hiring workflows and in these processes, there are two things that I think would stand out the most, especially for the organizations who are leading or who want to lead the AI curve in HR. Definitely, we have AI. We have, and with the focus, with the purposeful integration of AI, that there are two things which would stand out. The first one is the employer branding, and the second one is the feedback. Because when we talk about employer branding, I mean, definitely you have the recruiters, you have and the hiring managers who become the first point of contact for the candidates, right? So if at any point or at any process, this contact and this relationship is ruptured or it is made transactional, and candidates are being treated as just mere data points, I think it could sort of impact a lot on the candidate, not just on the candidate experience, but at the same time on the reputation and the overall image of the company. And I think one of the defining marks when it comes to talking about the employer branding is the feedback. I mean, as candidates, we have experienced that we haven't received, most of the companies, they haven't provided us with any feedback, with any sort of feedback, right? Either we have been ghosted, or we have received the communication that you have been accepted or you have been rejected, or and if we were rejected, we haven't been provided with any sort of reason, right? So feedback over here becomes an extremely important part.
Yes, definitely. Talking about the feedback point that you had mentioned, I want to say that psychological safety can play a very important role in candidates' overall performance. Because according to 2024 candidate experience report, it says that almost 79 to 80% of the candidates tend to reapply to the same organization with even after getting rejected from that organization. Okay, so because why do they do this? Because they receive very much, you can say, a very valuable feedback from the based on their performance and everything, which ultimately improves, like helps the candidate to improve their performance, and also tend to set a long-term relationship between the candidate and the recruiter.
But then a lot of people also, especially when you talk about the agencies and the recruitment agencies and even at the enterprise level, sometimes it's impossible to give feedback to each and every candidate, right? Because they deal with applications that are 100 plus, 500 plus, 200 plus. So how do we sort of like also navigate that? Because when it comes to bulk hiring, providing feedback to each and every candidate becomes extremely impossible, right? So I think at this point, and you can share your thoughts on it, and I will invite everybody, I would like to invite everybody else also in the audience to also share their thoughts that what do you think about like when it comes to providing feedback? Because when we think about it, providing feedback to the candidates is a great experience because they might know what works, what doesn't work for them, and as I think Shaili rightly pointed out, even after them being rejected, they have the chances of them coming back to the company are greater because they enjoyed that candidate experience throughout, right? So I feel like AI can play a greater role over here because when you talk about using AI to providing personalized feedback to candidates and generating those personalized feedbacks to the candidates, I think it can play an extremely great role. It can improve the candidate experience. It can improve the employer branding. It can strengthen the candidate and the recruiter relationship. So I would like to invite everybody also attending the webinar to share their thoughts.
Okay, I'll take it up. So let me start with something that's very uncomfortable. So silence is costing companies more than rejections ever will.
Sure.
So think about the candidate journey, as you said, Ria. They prepare, they attend interviews, they wait. Then what? Nothing. So no updates, no closure, no feedback. Simply what happens next is they create their own stories. They didn't value me. They are disorganized or they don't respect candidates.
Exactly.
So the story keeps on spreading. So it's a big damage to the company's brand because the recruiter is the first phase of the company. So the reality is that every candidate interaction is a brand interaction.
Exactly.
Even rejected candidates can become, as you said, the future hire, or maybe a referral, or maybe a potential client too. So now, since we have AI, which can even help summarize the interview notes and generate a structured feedback.
Yes.
So you get the entire summary, like you have the note taker, just only have to provide the decision with a selected or not. Then AI generates the feedback based on your decision, collecting the pros and cons of the chat that you had. So it's not the time problem, it's literally a priority problem.
Yes.
If you want a strong employer brand, we must normalize feedback. Even a short or structured, AI can automate it because respect builds reputation.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think you have sort of like provided really impactful statements while you were saying this because respect builds reputation. All of these, I think, when you talk about feedback, become and the candidate and the recruiter experience, the overall brand image of the company and the overall reputation of the company. I think all of these play an extremely important role when you talk about feedback. And I think one of the pressing problems that a lot of candidates also face is that they go through a long, very tumultuous process, right, of interviewing, especially for the technical roles of a very like demanding roles, right? They have 3 stages, 4 stages of interview assessment, and then maybe on the fourth stage or the fifth stage, they are ghosted. They're not provided with any kind of communication. Maybe they just say that we are not going forward with it, but why aren't they going forward with it? So I think this also creates a lot of frustration. And as you rightly pointed out, the perception of the candidate towards that particular company, towards that particular brand instantly changes. They feel that they are not valuing my time. They feel like, they are not respecting the candidate's time or their efforts, right? So I think AI plays an extremely important role over here. You have the tools who can conduct the interviews, perhaps also provide the assessments. And after that, you have the tool, you can use it with the human oversight. You can provide the personalized feedback to them, generate that personalized feedback to them. And then maybe if you're going forward, the candidate, if they're going forward, it's well and good. But if they're not going forward, the candidate will at least think for a second, that at least, okay, fine. They took that time to give me the feedback. They took the time, they valued me, they valued my efforts, and they valued my time as well. So I think you've rightly, stated all these things. And I would just like to take a moment and talk about how at LeoBrain, which is an AI ATS platform, it is AI-driven ATS platform wherein we streamline the entire hiring process from the beginning till the end, right? From the job posting till the pre-boarding and the offer letter generation. We have also created these feedback forms wherein at every stage the recruiters can easily and very quickly they can provide the feedback to the candidates. And so while we were creating LeoBrain, we went through hours and hours of research as to what works for the recruiters, what works for the candidates, what is better for the candidate, what makes the candidate experience extremely brilliant, at the end of the hiring journey. At the same time, as we were talking about the shift from the data-driven model to a data-informed model. So all of these were basically the research results and the results of the discussions that we had over hours, and that's how we sort of like created LeoBrain. So I would just like to showcase a demo to everyone present here as to how we provide a feedback and how simple it is, to provide feedback to the candidates, and how it also will be very helpful for the recruiters, for the recruiting agencies, right? So it's just a minute video. Just a second. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So here you can create the job, right? You can, it's basically ongoing. You have an interview at this point, after which you have the evaluation. Once the evaluation is done, especially the interview evaluation, here you can sort of also, yes, here you have the feedback, you have the technical skills, you have the soft skills, wherein you can sort of also provide and rate them and provide the ratings in terms of the technical skills, soft skills, and not just that, you also have the option of commenting. I think providing a brief comment to them, it's going to help them a lot, in their entire hiring process. It's also to the candidates as well.
I always feel that giving valuable feedback, giving feedback to the candidate, either be it average or anything, it should be given. Okay, like considering the bulk interviews and processes, that is, can we have an automation for even giving the feedback, but with a human touch? So we can think about this, right? Like we cannot solely rely on AI for the feedback, but we can also inculcate this human connection and AI giving the feedback to the candidates. So I feel that could be a very, very much, you can say, resourceful use of artificial intelligence in the field of recruitment systems, and also giving genuine feedback to the candidate.
True. So as you rightly pointed out, when we are talking about feedback, as I think the discussion lately, especially when you talk about on LinkedIn or even within the research communities and HR professionals, they perhaps some of them they do want to give the feedback, but it's sometimes it's the time constraint. Sometimes they also have to think about other ramifications. They might not give. So I was just reading recently that they might not give the feedback because of perhaps like legal ramifications and stuff like that. So I think we have to like sort of like strike a balance. But in most of the situations and in most of the cases, I feel feedback can improve the candidate experience, can improve and ameliorate the overall brand as well. And I think we have reached we can sort of like, we are reaching towards the end of the webinar, the end of the session. And as rightly promised, in the mails as well and in the post as well, we had a surprise awaiting you. So basically, the surprise was that we want to give back something. We want to give something back to the community, to this research community, to basically and sort of talk about the research that we have done and help you reap the benefits of that particular research. So what we were, through the discussions and everything, we were thinking that we could definitely provide you a 90-day free access to LeoBrain. So basically, you can explore the platform, you can go through each and every stage from your end, and understand the entire, basically understand how this particular AI ATS tool also works. It's a 90-day free subscription access. And I'll share the link, the the Google Forms link in this chat box. You can just fill that with your name and the email address. And we will be sending an invite on the registered email address. And once you click on that, you will, from that day onwards, you will find, you can enjoy, as in use LeoBrain for free for 90 days. I'll just share the Google Forms link over here.
I feel that if everyone can explore the entire LeoBrain platform.
Yeah, so I have shared the link, I have shared the Google Forms link over here. And please provide your name, the email address, and we will definitely share the invite to you. And if you have any comments, you have suggestions, any feedback after joining and after using LeoBrain, you can also contact us on these contact and support details that I'll be sharing right now. Yes. So I think please take a note of these contact and support details. And if you have any query or any feedback or any suggestions, you can reach us out on these links. And please fill the forms so that you can go through LeoBrain, you can explore the platform. And we would love to hear back from you. And how did you find the platform? It was just, we wanted to help you with the hiring process. If there was if there were any challenges that you were facing, and you saw that, and you think, and LeoBrain helped you in solving all of these, we would love to hear back from you as well. So I think with that, we now come to the end of our session, the end of our webinar. I think something that we can all agree on, that although AI and automation, sort of like there is a possibility of there being complete automation in the HR and the recruitment industry, human oversight has to be there. There has to be someone at this side of the table, as Shaylee rightly pointed out, to contextualize the data, to interpret the data, to evaluate the data. And more importantly, I feel like we also have to focus on providing feedback. How else, and thinking about what are the different ways in which we can use AI to make the process more human. And it's very paradoxical to think about it, but yes, I think we can do that, right? We can use AI to make the hiring process more human, right?
Yes, you're definitely right. And as we are wrapping up this session, I would say that it is pretty much evident that AI will no longer be a peripheral tool. Actually, it is no longer a peripheral tool or experimentation tool, but the very fabric or the very essence of our hiring workflows. It has become the essence of the hiring workflows. It is true that the measure of the success won't be found, or it cannot be predicted by mere speed of adoption, but it is more about integrating the AI into our systems. So we are moving in a world where the human in the loop approach is not only just a process, it's a philosophy, I would say. We need to see the recruiters to move away, to shift away from being just the admin coordinators. Rather, they could become the true people partners, the helpers, the true helpers. Okay, so we can say that by letting AI do can AI can do the heavy lifting. They can do the repetitive tasks like scheduling and also data sorting and everything as such. But we need to reclaim our cognitive space, okay, which gives us the ultimate room to really invest in people, invest emotionally, not completely, but dive deeper into the evaluations of the people, their performances, and also use that strategic foresights and insights to build the teams that always last longer. Okay. So yes, it's ultimately about the balance. We need to strike balance between the human touch and the AI. AI will give us the consistent data-driven baseline, the data-driven insights, but we need to be that hotline. Okay. We need to have that ethical double check, the ethical approach that which will ensure that we are not only just hiring for a pattern. Okay, we are building for a real potential.
I think that was very impactful because if you think about it, I think what you are trying to say over here, and I think we can apply to all the industries as well, because not just HR, I think when it comes to the adoption of AI in all the industries, what should be the focus over here is that as humans, we shouldn't completely outsource our abilities to make decisions. As humans, we shouldn't completely outsource our abilities to to take the driver's seat at the end of the day. So I think drawing that boundary and understanding what needs to be automated, what shouldn't be strictly left human. I think this is what the entire webinar focused on. And secondly, definitely the idea of using AI to make the process more human. So I think with that, we now conclude our webinar. Now the floor is open for questions. Please, if you have any questions, we would love to take them and we would love to answer all your questions at this point. Feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat box. Yes, Sandeep.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to provide us such insightful information. And my question is, lots of small and marginal scale of organization don't have a capability to hire professional HR team. Right? So how they implement AI into their existing process, or how they train their staff? And most frustrating question is currently is where to start in this AI? Where to start this AI in the current process?
Okay, I would like to take that question. So basically, when you're talking about when it comes to small scale or even the startup companies, or basically the startups and how do they focus on incorporating AI? How do they when they don't have enough resources, especially for building an HR team? I think the first step has to be identifying their hiring objectives. right? To focus more on their hiring goals and understand where do they need to focus more on their hiring process or in that particular pipeline. And based on that, they can understand their hiring needs. So once those gaps have been identified, they can focus more on using and onboarding certain AI tools as well. Would you like to add, Shaivi?
Yes, I would also like to answer Mr. Sandeep's question that as he said that small or mid-sized companies like they don't have that enough potential for HR teams to inculcate. Okay, so what if we can say that these companies they don't entirely need the recruitment system? What if we can give segmented frameworks of the recruitment process like they would only need the AI powered feature like candidate evaluation, or we can say just for the job posting, or we can say just for the interview scheduling. So, in this way, we can help these mid-sized companies to solve their problems.
I hope that answered your question.
Okay, and one more question is how we believe the AI tools, like different AI tools provide a different results, right?
Okay.
So how can we believe a particular tool?
How can we believe a particular, could you elaborate in terms of how do we believe a particular tool? Are you talking about the bias, the algorithmic bias in a tool?
Because the different, because the different tools provide a different results. Like an example, if I got an analysis of a resume in Anthropic, it's a 60% candidate capable of, we can hire the candidate
Right.
at the ratio of 60%. You can consider the 60%.
Okay.
But in GPT, I can get an 85%
Okay.
and something different in different tool.
Okay. So what you're trying to say is the variability factor that is present in all the AI tools and which one should we trust the most, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think when you're talking about the different AI tools, again, over here, you have to consider a lot of factors at this point. You have to do a lot of research as well at this point. So, as I've mentioned previously as well, when it comes to choosing the right AI tool, that depends on the fit. As I think we mentioned in the session itself, when you have to choose the right AI tool, you have to focus more on the fit of that particular AI tool rather than focusing on the quantity. And again, the very first perhaps the answer can be, you have to experiment different AI tools and find out which one works or not, which a lot of companies did previously, right? Especially post COVID, you find a lot of companies, they started experimenting with different tools, finding which one works or which doesn't. But there have been certain companies who have moved past that stage, but there have been certain companies who have been sort of like stuck at the stage. They have been mindlessly experimenting, having no idea as to what they should take or which tool they should focus on. So I think over here, what matters the most is finding the fit of that particular tool, finding and also other resources, whether the company has enough resources to invest in a particular AI tool. So I think all of these factors depend a lot.
I would like to add this because if you say that which tool to believe, which AI tool to believe for as all these tools, if we use different tools and there would be varying answers for that. So I believe that there can come the human intervention wherein the person or the HR or the talent acquisition specialist would screen the entire resume if he or she is quite, you can say, confused or he's not able to judge that person. The AI is trying to give different answers. Then there comes the human intervention. So I feel Mr. Sandeep's question it can be a perfect example of the human intervention, where when in which situation the human can intervene the process.
True. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Should we switch चालू करें? Charging. Yeah. Also, Mr.
Yeah,
Anil.
I have a
Yes, yeah,
question.
Mr. Anil. Yes, you have a question.
Okay. So In our company, I mean, we have a many candidates application while we recruit any kind of positions. Okay, so and out of that particular application, like we get more than 100 or more than 200 applications for a single position. Okay, in that particular application, we shortlist the candidate by their CVs. Okay, so that is the first round. So in that, after shortlisting the resumes or CVs, we got let's say 50 to 60 candidates who actually we invite for an interview. So it is a very, I mean, time-taking thing for us to take the interviews of all the 50 candidates, and out of that particular 50 candidates, we need to choose two or three candidates only. So is there anything in LeoBrain we have like or in a coming future we have to I mean reduce this particular timing or which can save our timing of this particular interview?
I think you rightly pointed out because when you talk about, first of all, to address your question, to talk about interviews, you have a lot of like, when you talk about interviews, they can be very time consuming and depends on the position, depends on the job, the context of it. You have different levels of interviews as well. And as you rightly pointed out, it can be extremely time consuming, very tiring at the end of the day, and it can take a lot of cognitive overload. And yes, we do have something for in LeoBrain as well. We have an AI interviewer wherein what happens is that the entire process, yes, the interviews will be taken by AI. But then at the end of the day, once those interviews are taken, and the candidates can take those interviews at any point, as in whenever at their own convenient times with their own flexibility. So as I've mentioned previously as well, the focus that's when like the reason why we created LeoBrain was to focus more on not just the recruiting experience or the recruiter's experience, but also to focus on the candidate experience as well. Because when you talk about the candidate experience, if you talk about their flexibility, if you take into consideration their convenience, it eventually impacts the employer branding. It eventually impacts and reinforces a very positive image of the company also. So yes, we do have an AI interviewer wherein the candidate can take their interviews at their own flexible, at their own convenient time. And once those interviews are taken, AI will provide the notes. But yes, as we have just mentioned in the webinar itself, we need the human insight to make the right judgment. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but I have one counter question.
Okay.
So is there any specific, I mean, pricing for that AI interview taker, or it is included in the LeoBrain trial? Because you guys said that you will offer a 90 days trial, right?
Right. So at the moment, what we are focusing more on is to help you understand the entire LeoBrain platform, to explore that particular platform, that particular feature that is already there, and it is included in the free plan itself. So I think you can go ahead and explore that as well.
Okay, thank you. That gives my answer.
Okay. Do we have more questions? Uh, Mr. Sandeep has another question. You have your hand raised. So, do you have another question?
No, no, I don't have any other
Oh,
question.
okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, then, if we don't have any more questions, should we wrap up the session?
Okay, yeah, and thank you for this amazing session. And thank you for this amazing information regarding the AI and their link with the HR specifically. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
It
It
Yes, it was a delight to have you all over here, and I think we, in the future as well, when we conduct all these webinars, we have this fruitful exchange wherein we exchange our insights, wherein we exchange our perspectives as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We would love to hear you. We would love to hear you give your suggestions, your feedback. What did you think about LeoBrain? And yes, we're just awaiting your response as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.